Battle not with distortion, lest ye become distortion. And if you gaze into the petal gazes also into you. I've been real curious about this pedal for a while now, and I'm glad I finally got a chance to check it out. Here's the quick rundown. First, you got your gain and your volume knobs. Pretty standard fare for a dirt pedal, but it's a really good range, and it's important to have those when you're using it out front to push your amp. Then we've got a bass cut and treble control as concentric pots right here, which you can use to shape the overall frequency response of the pedal. I should probably point out now, as you can imagine, this is a tricky pedal to light and shoot. It's basically a mirror. And by the time I got my space all set up for recording, I didn't have any lights left for me. So you'll just have to deal with a little teeny tiny picture-in-picture video of me playing that I got from my phone camera for these clips. Anyway, in addition to the EQ knobs, we've also got this input filter knob. And this is here to help adjust for guitars of varying brightness, pick noise, and all that. And it definitely does that, but it also gives us yet another subtle control over the way the overdrive reacts. Listen to what it does when I use the neck pickup on that Jazzmaster. Yeah, it definitely adds in a bit more growl from those middle of the neck notes. And if we want even more, there's a high-low gain switch right here, and that really pushes the entire pedal from light overdrive into a full-on crunch. And then, hidden away on the inside of the pedal, but still mentioned in the manual, there is a dip switch that lets us adjust the impedance of the pedal from 260K to 235K. And that might not seem like a lot, but to certain pedals, they expect to be hooked directly to your guitar's pickups. And they can sound weak or thin if a buffered pedal is placed in front of them. So this is just another way to suit the pedal to your gear and the sound that you have in mind. There's a switch on the right too. There's actually 2 dip switches, though the manual doesn't mention it. And I can actually sit here all day just flipping this back and forth. It doesn't seem to do anything. What the heck, right? Actually, I did some digging, and according to an old post on the gear page from Tom Cram of DOD and Digitech, the second switch adds a little more treble cut to the filter as it is turned further counterclockwise. But the effect was so minimal and only affected very specific gear that they didn't want people complaining that it didn't do anything, so they just never mentioned it. I think that's kind of funny. This pedal was designed in collaboration with Christopher Venter of Shoe Pedals. That's a boutique effects company out of Brooklyn, New York. And after DOD approached him about working on something, his initial plans were for a super high gain fuzz. And that's cool, but I'm glad he changed his course and landed on this, because as inundated as we are with transparent overdrive pedals and as sick of hearing about natural glassy tones and boostic harmonics as I am, there is something to be said for a pedal that does it with the right voicing and the right set of controls. Case in point, that little 15 watt PRS MT15 amp I've got on my desk now, the cleans are super clean. And I can pull a knob to add in some overdrive, but the cleans without the boost, being pushed just a little bit from the front with the looking glass, that brings out something I really enjoy. This is a Class A FET Overdrive, and what does that mean? Well, FET, or Field Effect Transistor, uses the input from what's called a gate to modulate the flow of current from a source to a drain, or from a drain to a source, depending on the type of transistor. So we're using these FET transistors to build amplification and then cascade that boosted signal from stage to stage to stage. And I can't find a reliable schematic online of this, but I would hazard a guess that the high-low gain switch is either adding in additional gain stages or boosting the amount of gain headed down that line. What's interesting about FETs for us, however, is that this arrangement is very similar to the anode, cathode, and control grid topology of a basic vacuum tube. So a preamp designed around tubes can be converted to use transistors without needing a complete redesign, like if we were to go from tubes to clipping diodes. In fact, Blackstar just recently put out the debut 50R amp, which features a valve-like MOSFET preamp, MOSFET being a metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor, and the same kind of transistor found in this pedal, and in another somewhat similar looking pedal that I also really enjoy, the Gunslinger. In case you're wondering about the Class A part, that just means it's using the simplest possible transistor arrangement for amplification. It's a single transistor doing the positive and negative swing of that modulation. But saying Class A, that makes it sound more fancy, doesn't it? Without a doubt, my favorite posts on all of the internet are the ones where someone is showing off a pedal board worth more than my car and asking, hey, do you think I'm missing anything? And people will invariably respond in one of 3 ways. They'll say, looks great to me, or they'll offer up some sort of observation to establish themselves as the smartest person in the world when it comes to guitar effects, or they'll ask the obvious question, I don't know, what kind of music are you playing? To which the answer will come, I don't know, kind of a shoegazy, indie, worship, lo-fi, chugga, freeform jazz exploration. And people will pour over that image and build up this mental model of what a pedal board sounds like, absent of the fact that it's connected to a guitar and an amp and presumably a person playing it. But we're more than willing to put all that aside based on a mental model, which may be entirely based on the way a pedal looks, or how it was named, or how much it sells for. It's kind of hard to build that kind of mental model for a pedal like this because, well, one, it doesn't have a look. It's literally a mirror. But two, it's so broadly useful that it doesn't really stand out in any one area in particular. I kind of wonder if Boss called this guy the blues driver just so it would have an identity from the start, even though 9 times out of 10, it's not being used to play blues. It's just a good pedal. Maybe I'm being unduly influenced by this surface, but I keep coming back to the word reflective, in that it's reactive and responsive in a way that really makes you think about what you're putting in and trying to get back out. A lot of times, pedals have either a huge range of possible sounds or a tightly dialed in sweet spot. I found that I was able to push and pull my guitar sounds in ways that I hadn't considered before. All completely viable, and some in ways that I really enjoyed. Like the way that Jazzmaster sounded on the opening track. Yeah, that was real, genuine surprise and joy you saw there, especially because we're coming into spring here, and during the colder months, this thing never wants to stay in tune for very long. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being a viewer. Please make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. I'll catch you on the next one.